Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, season 2, episode 20 with Thomas Rhett.
But you know what's funny? I think I've said this before, but I think "Make Me Wanna" might be my wife's least favorite song that I've put out. So we'll steer clear of that one when she's at the show.
A lot of fun talking to Thomas Rhett. Love his new song, Beautiful As You. It's really catchy, man. We're going to talk more about that and what he's got coming up. What do the future of Thomas Rhett songs look like? That's changing a little bit. We'll get into that with him. And then a bonus at the end, we also sat down with Travis Denning, and we'll be speaking to Travis Denning. He's got a lot coming up as well. Thank you so much for checking us out here. Here we go. This podcast is part of the Town Square Media Podcast Network. TR, what's up, man?
Man, living. How about you?
Living life, man. I got 2 kids and I'm trying to catch up. I can only imagine how you are, man.
Mach 10 is the only way I know how to describe my life.
I want to get into this new song because I don't know. They told me I could only listen to it once, but I must have listened to it about 10 times, man.
That's good.
It's an instant banger, man. Beautiful of you. Yeah, Beautiful As You. And it also, like, it pivots from your traditional country sound of the past few years. Is this album a full shift that's coming up?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. I feel like this song in particular, man, and the record, sort of like you were asking me how, it is raising kids, and I feel like over the last 4 or 5 years, like, drowning is not the word. It sounds too morbid, but it's like, for the first time in 8 years, I feel like Lauren and I, like, our kids are doing things for themselves. You know what I mean? They're waking up for school. They're bathing alone. They're being able to fix their, so I feel like Lauren and I are just in this, like, kind of freedom phase of life, if you will. And we haven't experienced it in a while. And so I think Beautiful As You definitely is sort of the first representation of this record. But just like a lot of my records, man, they're just kind of sonically unique all the way through. So the album will come out August 23rd. Beautiful As You obviously comes out on May the 10th, and then a new song every month until the record comes out. And, man, it's, if anything, it's the funnest I've ever had making a project. My main mission was to make people smile and make people dance, and I hope that this song does that for people. So
definitely, because your last dance song that got me going was actually sad. So the one of the first ones.
Are you talking about "Make Me Wanna" or like not that far back? Okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
Who had the idea for the hook of that song?
So I wrote this song with a guy named Julian Bonetta, Jay Cash, and a guy named John Ryan, all people that I've worked with before, but never really all got in the same room together. And they had written this chorus between them three and played me the chorus. And I actually came in and helped, write the verses and the bridge. And so, yeah, man, in many ways, similar to things I've done in the past, but also definitely like a melodic stretch. And from a sonic standpoint, definitely different than the last 2 albums for sure. But man, it's like it's just a banger. You know what I mean? It's like when it comes on, it's irresistible to kind of listen to. It's short, 2 minutes and 20 seconds or something like that. So easy, kind of replayable. And yeah, man, wrote it about my wife and just the awe factor that I have that she chose me out of all the other handsome looking dudes in the world. And so I feel very very grateful. So
yeah, and you've written a lot of songs for her and about her. Does she have a top 3?
Well, I mean, I think Die Happy Man would be 1 for sure. I think Look What God Gave Her would be 2, and I'm hoping that Beautiful As You kind of tops at least Look What God Gave Her for her. That's my mission.
Okay, does Lauren have a least favorite?
There's a lot of least favorites, I would imagine. Man, my wife is a melody person. She loves to move and she loves to smile, and so but you know what's funny? I think I've said this before, but I think "Make Me Wanna" might be my wife's least favorite song that I've put out. So we'll steer clear of that one when she's at the shows.
Every marriage, that has its ups and downs, man. Can you write about the hard times as easy as you write about, the love songs? And would your wife be cool with that?
For sure, man. I think for me today, I would say that the hard times revolve so much around parenting. And I've definitely written my fair share of kid songs and what it means to be a dad. And, on this record in particular, man, like, we're just in a fun season of life, and this record is definitely a little bit more positive, my wife and I are just having fun again, dude. We're not in the diaper phase anymore. We're actually having date nights and hanging with friends till after midnight, which sounds kind of lame, but it's a big shift for us, you know. So
yeah.
Music is sort of based on where we're at in our lives today, and we're just having fun. So,
what's a song on the radio that you wish you wrote?
Like recently or like of all time?
Yeah. Whatever you think.
Man, I love Man Made a Bar.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Yeah. And maybe it's because I'm a big Morgan fan, but I'm also a diehard Eric Church fan, and I feel like both of those guys together just really crushed that song. So,
okay. What was Russell Dickerson's reaction to his son taking your daughter by the hand and walking away?
I don't care what his reaction was. It's about what I think. Dude, it was funny, man. It was honestly it's the first time I've ever seen any of my kids hold hands with a boy before, and I was just shocked. And I was like, I guess of all the kids in the world, I'm glad it was Russell's kid. You know what I'm saying? I know Russell. I respect Russell, so it was like I'm glad that Remington was the first kid that Lennon held hands with. So.
At one point, the media was like all up in your personal life, and it's kind of not like that as much anymore. Are you okay with that? That there's not as much focus on every social media post you put up?
Man, I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with social media. I like to keep people engaged, but I don't know, dude. At the end of the day, I just kind of got to do me, and if people want to respond to that positively or negatively, it's not really up to me. And so, man, we're just living, man.
All right, with Beyonce and Post Malone going country, if you could pick any country artist off any artist off the shelf and make them country for an album other than Nelly, who would it be?
Probably Bruno, man. I think it'd be wild to hear how Bruno would do country. I can't even begin to think about what that would sound like. But if I had to pick, it would be him.
Okay. Let's talk about Mama's house real fast. Did your mama have those little hard candies everywhere?
She had Andy's chocolates.
Okay.
The mint chocolates, and she would put them on your pillow. Like a hotel. Mama's hotel.
Let's say one of your kids, and this is tough, man, but let's say we're 40 years down the road, and one of your kids is writing a song like Mama's House. What will they have to say about the Aikens household?
That's an impossible question. I really don't know. I hope that they say that there was a lot of love and joy in the house. They'd probably say that they wish Dad was home a little bit more. But at that age, I will be home constantly. So.
And real quick, a year ago, you told me you guys might have more kids, but you wanted to come up for air. Where are we on that?
We are breathing right now. We have come up for air, and so we're gonna let the air ride for a little bit longer. I think before we make that decision.
Okay, but you haven't
I haven't ruled it out. Okay. I've not gotten a snip. I don't know if I can physically. I don't know that I could do that.
Would it be adopting? You think?
Maybe, man. I think we pray about it constantly. Just kind of for the peace or unpeace of do we want to have another kid or do we want to adopt again? I think both are equally on the table. So.
All right, and finally, one more. Can you give me a little details more about that album you were talking about in August? Like anything you can tell me about it?
Comes out August 23rd, man. Releasing a bunch of music up till that. But yeah, I want to make sure that I'm naming the album properly before I tell you what the name of the album is.
Okay, dude. Well, thanks for taking time, man. We appreciate you.
Likewise, man. Thank you very much.
We are hanging with Travis Denning, man. What's happening?
Rocking and rolling, baby.
Dude, you got a new album coming out, man. Well, tell me the deal with that.
Yeah, it's called Roads That Go Nowhere, and pumped, man. Comes out May 24th, week before we start the Hardy Quit Tour, and it's awesome, man.
How'd you come up with the name for the record? That's pretty cool.
It was a song I wrote, and the second I finished the song, I knew it was going to be the album title. It's a really reflective song on where I've been and where I hope I'm headed and all those things. And, it's just kind of for people who've got a dream. And that song was just really about those moments when you might have another hill to climb, might have another slope to go down and take it easy. But, you just kind of look back and you're thankful for all those roads that got you to where you are. And it felt like it was the theme of the album.
Yeah, okay. I think you made a good decision. I do want to talk about Southern Rock, though, with Hardy. Can you tell me, the first time you met Hardy?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm gonna try to. It definitely met him at Rebar when that still existed, and so I might have not really remembered. I might have been a little inebriated, but him and like his whole crew, Jake Mitchell, all those guys, they always hung at Rebar. So we'd like pop there and say hey. But the first time we ever wrote was in 2017, and I remember I was writing with Hillary Lindsey, who's Hall of Fame songwriter, and it was just me and her, and she was like, I want to bring in the third on this right. And I said, cool. And she's like, you cool if we bring in Michael? You know, that's back when we still called him Michael Hardy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, damn. I was like, I haven't written with Hardy yet. I said, but I was like, if Hillary Lindsey's bringing him in, then that's pretty positive. And obviously, Hardy's done pretty good on the songwriting side of things.
Yeah.
I remember writing with him and I just knew he had a vision on what he was trying to accomplish, and that was super cool. And yeah, man, love him to death. Him and his wife and my wife are best friends, and man, he's one of my best friends in country music, man. Just such a great guy, and been very grateful for our friendship over the years.
All right, but give me like a Hardy story with Travis Denning that no one's heard. Like,
okay,
get in the woods here.
Okay, I'll do a recent one, and this is simple. There ain't nothing crazy to it, but he keeps his boat like 4 minutes from where I live. And so, you know, we taking our boats out fishing and stuff. And usually like he'll take his, I'll take mine. We just kind of cruise the river together. But we took the wives finally. And that was a lot of fun. We fished. The girls drank and watched us fish. And we ended the evening at Blue Moon, which is, you know, it's a goated marina restaurant here in Nashville. It's not the best food you'll have, but if you're in the right sobriety state, it is the best food. He's a river rat just like I am, loves to fish, and so we spend a lot of time on the river. That's our most recent one, I guess.
How did you guys get to Southern Rock? Like, how'd that become the song?
When I recorded it, it's such a special song to me. Like I've told everybody, like it's what I want written on my tombstone. It's just about where I come from and like how I was raised musically and by just, you know, way of life. And it's just a really special song. When I recorded it, I'd say halfway through the session, I knew it could have an opportunity to be something even more special. And I knew that was asking him if he'd sing on it. And I literally cut it the day of the ACM Honors last year. And I performed on the ACM Honors with Billy Ray Cyrus and Fire Rose, and Hardy was being honored as Songwriter of the Year. And so we were at the little pre-show hang and everything. And I was like, I just cut a song about 3 hours ago. I'm going to beg you to sing on. He was like, deal. He's like, send it to me when you get it. And when I got the first mix, I sent it to him, and he was like, this is awesome. Let's do it. So it was just that easy.
Wow. I want to take me back to this picture right here. Tell me about this night.
That was my wedding right there. And yeah, that's a great picture.
What do you remember about this?
I remember we finally convinced the DJ to play something a little heavier hitting because, you know, me and him both like the heavier side of music. My wife was not super into that, but I think she let us play some Alice in Chains or something. But man, we just had a blast. Like Callie was a bridesmaid, and so he came to the wedding, and it's just fun, man. It was a fun night and a fun wedding. And there's a better picture that my wife would never let me post. It was me, him, and my wife, and we're not looking our best. You know, we a little sweaty on the dance floor, a little gross. Madison's hair's in her face. She was like, "Ain't no way in hell you can post that one ever." But yeah, that's a great picture right there.
Is there a love song on this record for your new wife?
Yeah, there's a few in there, but there's one in particular called "Love You Past That," and it's one of my favorites, man. It's just kind of it's essentially just a really long vow, you know, of just whatever you're going through life, I will love you past that. The good, the bad, the difficult, and then even wherever forever is, I'll love you past that. It was just a promise to her, and it's one of my favorites that I've written.
So you've always kind of been a songwriter, but you recently got married. So do you feel pressure now to write song? Like Dan and Shay have this immense pressure, right? Like
right.
They have to come out with love songs. Do you feel pressure now to have a love song out there all the time for her?
Man, not so much. I think for me, I think when it naturally happens, then I get like, I'm like, this has to be on there. If it feels like the song came from a real place. But hell, her favorite songs on the record are all the breakup songs. So, I mean,
like add her to the list?
She heard me. I was downstairs. I was listening to the first mix of that song. She was upstairs. So she could just barely hear it. And she texted me and she was like, what song is this? And I was like, I cut it for the record. And she goes, this one is a banger. I said, well, come down and listen to it. And I played it for her and she was like, that's awesome. She loved it.
Are there ever any further questions about this? Because, like, me as a regular guy, like, I'm married too, but there's probably a couple girlfriends my wife doesn't even know their names that I've had. So, like, as a married,
that's usually a positive place to keep it. Honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is that difficult? Like, you're putting all this out there, and she's just accepting it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think she grew up with her dad was a singer, and he sang heartbreak songs and sang songs that were obviously not reflective of his life. But for me, it's more about like, back to the album title, it's like, it's Roads That Go Nowhere. So I think for me, the songs that are about breakups or they're about moments in my life that aren't where I'm at now, it's one of those roads that didn't go anywhere, and that's what really, I think, makes the record work so well, with that being the title. And there's a song on there called Someone That Isn't Me. And it's a pretty, I say, heavy song. I mean, it's just a guy talking about somebody else that is not him living the life that this girl wanted from him. And it's just a guy saying, like, I couldn't change and be what she wanted. And I was like, I'm married with 2 cats and 2 dogs. Like, this ain't who I am.
Yeah.
But, I walked through that. I was like, well, I mean, I'm sure I was that for someone a long, long time ago, when I was more focused on some other stuff. And it's just one of those roads that didn't go nowhere.
That's some deep thinking, man.
Deep thinking, man. We're getting deep today.
I want to talk about this. My question is you did, women in country music, like a whole thing last year.
Yeah.
You had Kerosene, Redneck Woman, and Fancy. Have you gotten to meet Miranda and Reba and Gretchen? I've met all of them, and we did a little Shania Twain. I've never met Shania, but I met Reba at a label event one time, and she was just like, she's awesome, man. She's like one of the greatest people ever. And I've met Miranda a few times. Miranda, one of my favorite country artists of all time. I mean, her Revolution record, I think, is just top down, just a perfect no skip album. And what I love about her is she has just always been an artist, like from the get go, from those early songs like Kerosene. To this day, that song is still just like, it sounds like a hit and all those things, and it is. But man, it's not like she was like, let's write a hit song. She wrote a badass song that she stuck to her guns and made it work. And I'm a huge Miranda fan, and I almost backed into her vehicle at Virginia's Market on Music Row one time. So, and then I saw her a week later, and I was like, I almost hit your car, and I'm really sorry. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, perfect. Well, I was like, that's probably a better way to keep it. But Miranda's awesome. What made you do that medley of country women in country music?
Man, it all started. I've been covering female country songs since I was probably like 19 or 20 years old. I always felt like I could go play a college bar, and like if I busted out like a Carrie Underwood song or something, I was like, that'd be cool. It's a dude singing a chick song.
That's smart.
And so it's always been that way. But we worked up that medley with all those songs, and I think we started doing that in 2019. And honestly, we still pretty much do it almost every night.
Are there any that you considered adding to the list that didn't make it?
I need to completely revamp it, I think. But like the problem is, it's like every time we do it, it crushes. So I don't want to like mess it up.
Okay, I got you.
But like we try not to repeat it too many. Like if I go to the same market, I'm like, all right. But I've wanted to do like "Leave the Pieces" by the Wreckers.
Ooh,
that's such a great song, amazing song.
What happened with the record? Why didn't the records understand how good the records were?
Stand Still, Look Pretty, unbelievable album, like as good as it gets.
Yeah, man,
that's up there with those like early Miranda records to me, where they're like they had a tinge of that Steve Earle kind of rawness. So good. I love the records. They're great.
What's up for you in 2024 after this?
Man, well, the Hardy tour all summer, and we're finishing that tour in October at Red Rocks, doing 2 nights with him, and then just anywhere in between that they call and say we can come play some music, we'll be there.
Coming to a bar mitzvah near you.
Anywhere, baby. A high school gymnasium, we'll be there.
Travis Denning, man, thanks for coming by.
Thanks, brother.
All right, let's bring in Billy Dukes from behind the camera to talk about these interviews here. What you got?
I think Thomas Rhett is a little bit of a masochist because he's talking about how he and his wife are having fun again. They're out there doing things, getting back to normal. It's like, and then he wants to go and have another kid and ruin it all. I'm just saying, why would you want to do that? Why? I don't get it.
I know. Well, I think once you've jumped off the cliff, what's an extra 10 feet? You know what I'm saying? He's already got 4 kids, so, what's a 5th?
Diapers again? Like he's got all the kids out of diapers and he wants to go back into that diaper business. And you know this too, when you get 40, closer to 40, over 40, like bending down to do bath time, that hurts.
Yeah. But he also left it open on the table that, of course, maybe they'll adopt. So maybe they'll adopt and they'll adopt a child that's 4 or something, 3 or 4,
Adopt a dog. Then you got that scoop.
I think we got like 12 of those too. Yeah.
I just don't. It don't fit with me. If I was on that call, it was a Zoom. You did this one, I'd be like, no, time out. We got to talk here because I don't think you know what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming from Billy Dukes, who has 3 kids. So I mean, you understand.
And I was 3 and I remember very clearly one day. It was between my 2nd and my 3rd, and I was sitting there staring out my window, and I thought to myself, there was a truck that rolled by right now, like an ice cream truck. Instead of ice cream, though, they sold vasectomies. I said I would have gotten on that truck, no questions asked. And then I went and had a 3rd.
I thought you were about to say if there was a truck, I would stand in front of it.
No, it wasn't that dire.
I was like, oh man.
No, it wasn't that bad. But
yeah, it seems like Thomas Rhett's not interested in that. So, but I don't know, maybe his thoughts will change as they progress.
The arc of his music is really interesting to me as well. And, I think we've talked to a few artists who are kind of going back to their roots, or we've talked about like Miranda Lambert's new song is sort of back to her roots a little bit. And I don't know if you'd call this new song back to Thomas Rhett's roots, but it's certainly back to that sort of a little bit more playful pop country sound he had 8-9 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, does this time out? Okay, because I was thinking that it kind of reminds me of his song Unforgettable. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of about then? Or?
Right,
yeah.
Absolutely. And that was all pre-kids, which I think is probably just coincidence. But the last couple of albums he's had, it was more traditional, a little bit more organic. But this is like he's layering the tracks once again. This is kind of the Thomas Rhett that made him famous.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of artists are going back to their roots. I think maybe once you get a certain amount of success, like 20 number ones or whatever, like Thomas Rhett's got, and Jason Aldean, I feel like, you can call your own shots, and especially Thomas being such a big songwriter, it's cool to see him call his own shots and write different songs based on the seasons of life. That's neat.
I think it's also kind of like so often we like try to label like different eras of country music as just one thing. Like the bro country era was just bro country. But the reality is like that was a small popular segment of what was coming out in country music in like 2013, 2014 in that area. There was a lot of good traditional country. It just maybe wasn't getting it wasn't new, so it didn't seem like the fresh new thing. And you have traditional country music now. A lot of people are leaning into that with your Cody Johnsons. John Pardee comes to mind. Chris Stapleton certainly, and some female artists. But there's still plenty of like pop flavored country music. Like I don't know if there's like a scientific way to sort of analyze country music of any given year, but I'm not sure things have really objectively changed all that much. It's just kind of what we're focusing on.
Yeah, I feel like if you plug what you just said somehow into an AI machine, I feel like you'd get what you need, and I think you're right. I think that it just it's all the same cycles of life. It follows along, trends and all that. I think it's just happening again. And, I think the old heads, a lot of them they get upset, they tap out, this new country, blah, blah, blah. And there's always going to be those people. It's the same thing as like rock and roll in the 60s and 70s. It changed. It's always a circle of life. And I feel like country music is doing that, but some people choose to amplify it for the wrong reasons, maybe.
We need like country music StatCast, like they have in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Like country music war. Like what is like the like Ken Griffey Jr.'s war? What's Cody Johnson's war rating? Like someone figure that out so I have like an even sort of keel like barometer for like what's popular right now, because I'm not sure the eye test is worth anything.
I definitely agree. I think you're right, and it's good to be Thomas Rhett at a time like that where you can switch kind of how you feel, and change lanes a little bit.
Hardy is an example of kind of the other extreme of like country music right now, because he's like really into rock, and that gets to Travis Denning and the song Southern Rock, which isn't quite full Hardy, but that's a whole other sort of subgenre of country music that is present, like it's available for you to go find, but like it's not dominant right now, but it still matters.
Yeah, and when it comes out, people seem to be really into it. Like Hardy's doing really good, Isn't
Travis Denning one of those artists that you just wish had like 10, 12 number one hits? So he, because he's so cool to talk to, you kind of just wish like that cool personality and like average humility. He's almost like a Lainey Wilson type, like he just is cool to hang out with. You just want him to succeed just so other people know that. Yeah,
I agree, definitely. And it was really cool to, when he had After a Few made it all the way to the top, like, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. I just think, and me and you were talking about this, off the microphones, but he's really good live, and he has such a great following. I wonder if he's going to, no matter how successful he gets, fall into that lane of like Dustin Lynch, Randy Houser, where they're successful and they're making money and everybody loves them. They just don't peak over that top of in everybody's living room.
He needs like a hot year. Like he needs to have like a 2 to 3 year span where like everything because Hauser had this, Dustin Lynch has had this, everything he releases is sort of clicking. Then he gets a number of good hits, and then people are going to book him for years, then he's kind of made it, and the songs are there, the music's there. He just, for whatever reason, hasn't run it up the radio flagpole quite yet.
Yeah, maybe he came in here real clean shaved. Maybe he needs like a full beard or something, I
have a bold suggestion for Travis Denning. Handlebar mustache.
Yeah, he could pull it off.
Yeah. No one's doing it.
Yeah, handlebar mustache, take care of that thing, and throw on some boat shoes, just be like Raleigh Fingers type, like 70s, like Burt, I don't even think Burt Reynolds had that, but whoever had the curl, man, bring that back, Travis, and I think you'll instantly, it'll go viral, people will talk about you, and then boom.
He's just a handlebar mustache away from fame and fortune.
Let's update his bio. A handlebar mustache away from the top of the industry. I think you're right.
We're going to change the name of this podcast to Bad Ideas with Evan and Billy. Artistic Country Nights. Maybe not.
Well, that was the first one then. But I think it's Bad Ideas that could go.
Yeah, okay. All right.